While working in progressive politics at the height of a pandemic, in the midst of civil unrest, protests, and death at the hands of police brutality, I had some of the most enlightening and refreshing conversations with non-people of color. There were hard questions being asked and answered. There was open dialogue and safe spaces that should extend to the general public so verbal expression can begin to open the doors of communication, therefore creating a healing environment amongst the human race. There were always three questions I would get asked more oftentimes than not. First being, how does it feel to be a person of color when racism is so prevalent? I always compared my experience to riding a roller coaster. You know, when you're climbing to the top, slowly anticipating the minute you go over that first hill, the adrenaline causes your mouth to go dry. You are literally gripping the safety bar until your knuckles are white. Stomach in your throat as you whip and turn on the tracks. Once the ride is over, you are weak in the knees, in need of a few deep breaths and a glass of water to gather yourself before heading to that next ride. And all you can think to yourself is, I am so glad I survived that entire experience. Well, that is what it's like to be a person of color in America. Every day worrying if a loved one is going to make it home safe. Anxious and filled with anxiety anytime the police pull up behind a person of color while driving. Living with feelings of trepidation, working a position within a corporation that claims to be for the advancement of an oppressed human, all the while creating intentional roadblocks for people of color, in turn, preventing forward advancement higher than the token minority affirmative action requirement. The second question I would get asked pretty often was, what is white privilege? When I was 7 years old, my mother was preparing our home for my brother's birthday party. While busy cleaning and making goodie bags, she burnt his cake. With just enough time to make another, she packed us up in her 1972 Dodge Dart and headed to the nearest corner store. While in the store, she grabbed the three items she needed: condensed milk, sugarcane, vanilla extract. Walking to the front counter, the clerk had his back to us. When he turned around, he looked at my brother and I, and then to my mother, and told her she was not welcome in his store. She was stunned. It took her about 10 seconds to register what he was saying to her and why. And as she grabbed my hand and picked up my brother, we both heard the clerk mutter under his breath, "Nigger lover." My mother put my brother and I in the back seat of the car and buckled us in and locked the car doors. She went back in that store. And after a few minutes, she came back out with the items she needed to bake my brother his birthday cake. And on that day, I learned the light skin that afforded my mother the privilege that allowed her to come out of that store with what she needed would never be afforded to her brown children. That is white privilege. The last question I would hear, and I feel is the most important question of all, was, how do I become a part of the solution? Although I'm extremely grateful for the experiences lived and the opportunity to help non-people of color understand the plight that people of color experience daily, people of color are tired of speaking on the issues that have caused trauma and divide for centuries. However, we are extremely eager to speak with potential allies and accomplices about solutions to the problem. As layered as the issues of racial divide are, the solution to solve the divide is just as layered. The foundation for healing humanity is empathy. Simple as that. Followed up with patience, respect, and tact, a real understanding could be developed between races if conversations were approached with these 4 principles in place: empathy, patience, respect, and tact. The only energy that combats hate is love. Imagine if we had never known the idea of you are less than me because of your skin color. Letting go of that very idea is the first step to becoming the light that you seek. Thank you.